Well, hello there again, people of the world. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down transhumanism, simplified, okay? This is like going to be transhumanism for dummies. Because a lot of people, it's hard for them to grasp this stuff, but I'm pretty much an expert, okay? Pretty much an expert on eternal life and transhumanism and related topics. Because I've studied this stuff, and not many people have studied it as much as I have, and I've thought about it. That's even more important than studying about it. Is actually just thinking about it and using your own imagination. So let's get into this. So the first thing you gotta understand about transhumanism is that whatever people say about transhumanism, look, the most important aspect of transhumanism is about conquering death. That's the most important thing. Because most transhumanists understand that, there's not an afterlife, or they'll at least be agnostic. And so they'll not claim to know there's an afterlife. So transhumanists in general are just smarter people. And so because we don't know there's an afterlife, or we don't believe in an afterlife, what we want physical immortality on this earth, okay? We want to live forever physically. Because we don't think, most of us probably don't think there's a spiritual world. We just believe in this world, the physical world that we see around us. So we want to preserve this world. We don't want to die and gamble our life away that there's some hypothetical afterlife, some hypothetical God that's never been proven, that's supposedly that's going to come to our rescue and give us eternal life in heaven with the angels. This seems far too unlikely to us. This seems like a fabricated fairy tale because humanity has had to deal with aging and death for since forever. And we had to come up with ways to kind of cope with death and lie to ourselves and come up with all these ways that we can get through life without having to be depressed about death. So what we did was we come up with heaven. We came up with heaven, we came up with reincarnation, we came up with all this more pseudo-scientific, not even scientific. It's not scientific at all. It's just completely wishful thinking. It's based on, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if there was a heaven? Of course, most humans on this planet would love if there was a heaven, myself included.
I went and saw Mom today.
Yeah. Nice.
Where is she now?
Where? Who?
Where's Mary? You think there's something else after we die?
You're asking me if I believe in God?
Do you?
I'm 72 with stage 4 cancer. What choice do I have?
Of course it'd be great if there was a heaven. The problem is that it's never been proven. It's just hypothetical conjecture. As with God, all this stuff. With religion, it's just hypothetical conjecture. Because no holy book or anything like that has been proven. There's no real good evidence for any of this stuff. So, personally, I'm an atheist. Rowan's an atheist. But the reason we're transhumanists, where atheism diverges and separates from transhumanists, is that a lot of atheists, they've accepted death. They're just okay with it. Whereas the transhumanists, we're more like saying, no, we're not okay with death. We're not going to accept it. We got to live forever. That's going to be our goal. That's what transhumanism is about. And, with transhumanism, we're trying to say there's been entropy. There's this cycle of entropy, where things get old and they die. And we're saying, with enough technology, with enough science, we could stop this entropy. We could stop this cycle of where somebody gets old and dies. we can like stop that. We can live forever with the sufficient technology. Now, some transhumanists get really weird about it, and they'll say things like they know they're going to live forever. They're certain of it because they just have so much faith that the technology is going to arrive in time for them. Or if they get cryonically suspended, they're going to get somehow resurrected, and they're just so sure of it. Now, those transhumanists are of a lesser intelligence because obviously you cannot know for sure that you're going to live forever. Nobody can know the future. So I'm one of those transhumanists who's a bit more smarter, a bit more rational about this, and I say, I do not know that I'm going to live forever, but I'm going to try to live forever, and I'm going to try hard to live forever, like really hard.
Now, ask me how I'm going to do it. Go on, ask!
How are you gonna do it?
Living forever could be a very hard goal, right? Because there's Murphy's Law and stuff like that that says anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So if you live long enough, people say, well, if you live long enough, chances are you're going to die from some horrible accident. So you're going to die anyways. You can't really escape death, or there's going to be the heat death of the universe. And they come up with all these ways where they're saying, well, you can't really live forever. We're not talking about forever. That's a lot of transhumanists. But I'm saying, no, you don't know that. You don't know that we cannot technically actually live forever. Because we can solve the heat death of the universe. We can create a world where there's almost no accidents from death. I mean, there's no death from accidents. We can, with the self-driving cars and, well, you don't even have to drive a car. Why not have a facility underground in a bunker where there's a titanium reinforced, you're living underground, there's no dangers. Why not do something like that? Now that would be the smartest transhumanists would do something like that. Because we don't want to we want to prepare for the worst case scenario. We don't want to just trust that we don't want to trust that some horrible thing isn't going to happen on the surface of the earth that's going to kill us all. No, so we need to build underground bunkers and do things that are extra caution. So another thing about transhumanism is a lot of us are into, creating cyborg parts, enhancing our bodies, giving us superpowers with the technology. We're thinking, well, eventually we're going to have technology. We can give ourselves X-ray vision or the ability to fly or see really far or all of these different things. Anything you can imagine. Just picture the X-Men movie. All that stuff, most of it maybe could potentially be done with technology. So a lot of transhumanists are looking forward to literally becoming superhumans. And that's where the definition transhuman comes in. It's like we're going beyond the human. We're like something else now. We're going to be the new thing. But I guess the first thing is that a lot of the transhumanists were trying to live forever. Now, to live forever, the first step to living forever is we got to cure aging. That's the most important thing, because aging is the first thing that's going to get us all. That's going to kill us all if we don't figure out some way to stop aging, reverse it, so that we can be eternally youthful. So we gotta be alive. One of my favorite transhumanists is Aubrey De Grey. Okay, and he came up with this idea called the longevity escape velocity, which is that we gotta be alive at the point in time when we really come out with the first effective therapies for aging. The therapies that can extend our life, 5-10 years. If we can get those 5-10 extra years, by that point we're gonna have more technology, more therapies that can increase our life 5, 10, 30, 40 years out, and then we're gonna have more. So it's this idea that you're always one step ahead of aging and death. We're using the technology to repair the damage of aging so that we're in a perpetual state of repair. Eternal youth, living forever that way. And when I say living forever, This is not to be interchanged with the word, immortality. I don't really like to use the word immortality because it implies an invulnerability to death, an imperviousness, a certainty that you're going to live forever. And like I said, I don't have that. The last thing I have is certainty that I'm going to live forever. What I have is desire that I'm going to live forever.
With grace, with form, with agility. Fuzzy, you can do better than that.
I had seconds of porridge and toast for breakfast, and now I feel a bit queer.
Fuzzy, is that the most important thing in life? Porridge?
No, Miss G.
Then what is? Think.
God, Miss G.
No. Rosie?
Being kind to all God's creatures?
No, you're missing the point, dear. Poppy?
Death.
In life, Poppy. Die?
Desire, Miss G.
Yes. Thank you, Redfield. The most important thing in life is desire. You can achieve anything you want. The world is yours for the taking. Nothing is impossible for you, my girls. All you need is to desire it. Do you have desire?
Yes, Miss G.
If you have desire, nothing can stand in your way. Aim high!
Hope that I'm going to live forever. And with that hope comes the motivation to try absolutely your hardest, be extremely serious about it. Not get overly confident. These people, what I see with, I suppose I should go into some of the pitfalls of transhumanism for explaining this to people. Some of the pitfalls of transhumanism, similar to the pitfalls of religion. Transhumanism can kind of get a little bit religious, which gets a little weird because people get overconfident. They get overconfident of their ability to live forever. And they kind of say, they're like so certain of it. And with that, they lose their fear. They lose that fire that can motivate them to be extra serious. Because they get, overly confident. It's like, the tortoise and the hare. They're like the hare, thinking that they were going to get to eternal life, and really, they miscalculated because they got careless. They got overconfident. And, or they're like the little pig that built their house out of straw. They're thinking they're going to, beat the big bad wolf. But really, they were way too careless. They got cocky.
I built my house of straw. I built my house of hay. I toot my flute. I don't give a hoot and play around all day.
I see a cockiness in the movement of transhumanism. This idea like, we're gonna figure it out, no problem, blah, blah. Look, it's hard. We gotta be more like fearful. We gotta be more like working our eternal life with fear. Fear of failure. That's important. Mindset has a lot to do with success. You gotta have the right mindset or you're gonna fail, most likely. So one of these failures I see happening is just like, mind uploading. A lot of transhumanists are into this idea of mind uploading, which is that we're gonna, upload our minds to some computer substrate, some avatar, some robotic avatar, and we're gonna escape death that way. Now, in theory, that's hypothetically possible. The problem is this thing of consciousness is very tricky because you don't know that you can actually transfer your consciousness. Like, what if you cannot transfer your consciousness from the biological substrate of your brain to some kind of metallic, substrate in a computer chip or something? That's a real leap. That's a real stretch to just say that, yeah, we got this figured out. We're gonna transfer our friggin' consciousness. So there's a split in transhumanism. There's like the transhumanists who are like, let's go the biological route. Let's cure aging. Let's protect our physical brain that houses our consciousness. Let's protect that forever. And then there's the other side of transhumanism, which is more relying on technologies such as cryonics, mind uploading. You know, the ability that, like, if you freeze yourself, well, then eventually they're going to have the technology to, like, copy the contents of your brain onto a friggin' computer chip in some robot avatar. Really far out there, probably not going to work. What's probably going to happen in the future is they're going to have these people who are, like, thinking, the people who, they're going to have these robot avatars pretending like they're the original person. But they're probably going to be literally just copies of the original person. Not even perfect copies. Just this robot avatar going around pretending they're like the cryonicized person. But they're probably not even going to be. They're probably just going to be a little robot with no consciousness whatsoever, following their little, program. They've been programmed to behave similar to the original person. It just gets really bizarre and weird and fairy tale-ish, really. And this is why I can understand a lot of the skeptics who criticize transhumanism as being this pseudoscientific bullcrap. Because, but aging, see, this is where the different thing. Aging, the cure aging, that's not that unrealistic. Think about it. We're just really complicated machines. So why couldn't we cure aging? Why couldn't we fix all the damage as we go along? This is, I think, the most important part of transhumanism that should be emphasized, is this idea of indefinite life extension, okay? Indefinite life extension. That's where it all is, man. We've got to live long enough to the point where we can have this ability to be indefinitely young forever. And then we just create a utopia on Earth. Government has a lot to do with this. We're going to have to create a government that's, like, perfect. We're going to have to stop crime. We're going to have, a world that's a little bit more controlled so that there's not this chaos. So we got to take, like, this chaotic world where there's entropy, where there's crime, where there's all these random elements that could end up killing you. We got to take all that and we got to turn it into some order. We got to go from chaos to order. That is the main, that's the main goal with transhumanism. You take these chaotic elements in nature and you turn it to order. Order of government, order of everything like that. Law and order. And I think part of transhumanism should be political philosophy where you're having to deal with how to subvert and stop crime, criminal behavior, because that's part of protecting yourself. That's part of not dying, is you need to stop crime. You need to have a utopian society where there's not people just randomly killing each other, because that could be you. So if the goal is to live forever, you got to be making sure you're not going to be one of those statistics of one person out there that just gets murdered or something.
I didn't know that a human could kill another human.
This is why we need to create a world where people really have that fear of committing crime. We got to make it so that people are just way too afraid to commit crime. So we got to have, like, a government that instills that kind of fear in the people. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, what's to stop my neighbor from going over and just killing me because he thinks it's in his benefit? You know what I mean? It's like we got to make people fear. Similar to how religious people, they fear God.
Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Big bad wolf, big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf?
They fear God, and that's a way for religious people to behave morally. Well, without a fear, as the world becomes more secularized, as the world becomes less fearful of God because we don't even believe in God anymore, we need to believe in the fear of government. Government needs to come in as a kind of substitution for God. But with the government, it's very difficult because there's a lot of potential for freaking corruption. And the government could become tyrannical and kill us. So you see, the problems go on and on. It's a dangerous world. It's a very, very dangerous world. Life is fragile. And this is the tragedy of life, is that it's so fragile. And we have this horrible thing of death. And death, it's the worst thing that could ever happen to a person. It's like literally death. You lose everything you ever had. Your life becomes essentially meaningless and pointless because you lost everything at the point of death. Your nothingness. You've entered into a state of permanent oblivion. So then what's the point? Life becomes meaningless and pointless, which is really the whole reason for transhumanism in the first place. You gotta have a way to conquer death. Like I said, we went full circle here. Just know that most people in our world are brainwashed. They're brainwashed to accept death. They're brainwashed by these ancient traditional cultures. Their whole life is sugar-coated with religion. Religion is the opium of the masses. It's making everyone so comfortable with friggin' death that they're gonna get to live forever in heaven. See, this is the problem. We need to stop this with this religious fantasy, and we need to be more like using reason and science to conquer death. Okay? And hopefully in the future, we're going to have even a transhumanist president that can enact, someone like Zoltan Istvan, who can enact some of these political regulations to ensure that the money is going to anti-aging, that the money is going to stopping existential threats, which is also a huge focus of transhumanism, to stopping these freaking risks to our life. It's all about safeguarding human existence, And I think what needs to happen is that the transhumanists, we need to start focusing on the individual. There's been this trend to focus on the collectivism. I'm into individualism. The life of the individual matters. Your life matters and should not be sacrificed for any amount of other individuals. My life, I could say the same thing. My life matters, and I shouldn't have to feel like I have to sacrifice my safety or my life for anything else. No, my life matters most to me. And I think this is an important part of, we should push this along with transhumanism. The idea that we shouldn't sacrifice the individual for the good of the society. Everybody's individual rights needs to be held to the utmost regard. Individual rights should never be sacrificed. The right, and I think personally that it should be a human right to not die. Like, nobody should freaking have to die. It's horrible. But right now that's not a right. Right now it's like nature is the ruler here, and nature is calling the shots, and it's horrible because we're all getting old and dying. We gotta stop this.
Peter,
You
that's
are
enough.
a side effect to an evolutionary process that cares little for individual lives. You are a failed experiment in mutation.
Mother Nature is a serial killer. No one's better.
We gotta stop the tyranny of nature. We gotta stop this nature worship, putting nature on such a pedestal, acting like everything that's freaking natural is good. Sometimes the unnatural is what's good. And this is where transhumanism comes in. Because are we gonna find the solution for death? Are we gonna conquer death just from nature? Just from looking for some, some herb or something in nature, or some fountain of youth? I highly doubt that. we'll probably find it in the scientific realm, something more scientific. Now, scientific really is nature anyways. It's all the same thing. It's all just the material universe. That's the point. To sum this up, transhumanism is about conquering death, achieving eternal life through mastery of the physical material universe, molding the universe, shaping the universe, taking the raw materials of the universe to construct machines and technologies that could make us literally live forever, to protect our life forever. And I think the most important thing, if I could summarize transhumanism in one word, it would be survival. That's like the key to transhumanism. That's why most people are into transhumanism. We have a preoccupation with staying alive, with just surviving, because we don't want to die, because we enjoy life. We love our life. We want to help ourselves live forever. We want to help other people live forever, because we understand how great life is. We understand how important our own life is, so we want everyone should be allowed and be able to live forever. And with crime, yeah, we would have to stop the criminals. We'd have to put them away in prisons. We'd have to separate them. We'd have to do something. Maybe in extreme situations, we would have to kill them. You know, if there's no other way, look, self-defense. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm not for the death penalty. Okay, mostly I'm not. But if someone's evil enough, if they've proven themselves to be beyond repair, if they're just so psychopathic, if they're inherently evil, maybe it would be good to have the death penalty every now and then to instill fear in the people. You know what I mean? To make the people truly afraid of being evil. You know, because some people, that's the only thing that's going to make them afraid enough, is that possibility of dying. We got to make a world where there's no crime. We got to make a world where everything is safe as possible.
Hi, I'm President Business, president of the Octan Corporation and the world. Let's take extra care to follow the instructions or you'll be put to sleep. And don't forget Taco Tuesday's coming next week. That's the day every rule-following citizen gets a free taco and my love. Have a great day, everybody.
You have a great day too, President Business. Man, he's such a cool guy. I always want to hear more of what... Wait, did he say put to sleep?
Or maybe we could even do worse than the death penalty. Maybe we should make, prisons in virtual reality where they're just in a virtual freaking hell for eternity. Now that's a good idea to me. I would probably opt for that rather than the death penalty. Let's make hell. See, a lot of this transhumanism is recreating religious ideas, but using science and technology, we can turn these religious ideas such as hell into a reality. Because let's be honest, hell isn't such a bad idea, is it? Wouldn't it be good to punish people who are criminals and who do evil things with hell? So if we can essentially become godlike enough to the point where we can create our own virtual simulated hells, we can torture these people. We can punish them as they deserve. We can have true law and order. We can have true justice on this earth once and for all. So, transhumanism is just filled with opportunities. Opportunities to create a perfect society where life is just filled with incredible joys, incredible experiences, traveling the universe with technology, getting on a starship and traveling into freaking outer space, exploring other galaxies. Changing who you are. If you're a girl, you could become a guy maybe in the future. If you're a transgendered person, if you're if you're gay, you could you could cure yourself potentially with technologies of the future. There's just so many potential technologies that are coming around the corner. And this is the great thing of technologies. There's nothing we can't do with technology. It's like with technology, pretty much almost everything is possible. In theory, hypothetically. Possibilities. Limitless possibilities. Possibilities to reduce suffering on the planet. Another huge part of transhumanism I have yet to cover here is that we need to like take all this suffering on the planet, the starvation, the rape, the freaking evil that's going on, the diseases, the deformities that people have, the painful diseases, the migraine headaches, all this stuff we can do. We can solve this suffering. We can make it so you can live without even actually having to suffer, or at least minimize suffering. Maybe some suffering is actually useful. We might have to engineer some suffering into the overall plan, but generally we could reduce suffering a lot. So with transhumanism, there is just endless possibilities. I'll just leave you with that idea. Maybe I'll make like a Transhumanism for Dummies Part 2. You know, tell me if you want me to do that. Because I could do that. I can get into more details. But this is like the basics. This is for the dummy people. That's it. Thank you for watching. And may you live forever.